Alrighty, now we're live. Technology
Nice.
has caught up, and folks should be in the chat. Hello, folks in the chat. How's everyone doing today?
Wait a second. I don't have anybody in chat. Connecting to chat. Wait, are there people there?
There should be people there. It looks like there's some people there. I see some names I recognize hanging out.
Why don't I have any people in my chat?
Well,
Anyway,
they might
we're,
not be
we're-
talking right now.
oh,
See, there they
now we have
go.
a person in
It
chat.
sometimes
Yay!
takes them a second to warm up, and as always, we have the default 10 or 20 seconds of delay.
But I was expecting them to have robust chitter chatter, but
Oh no, they wait for us. They like listening to our uh, talking. Yes, that's where we
Okay.
are.
Okay, so
We have a
thank you
we
for
have a bunch of stuff that we want to talk about today.
yeah. Do you want to actually why don't you frame it and then I'll start talking?
Oh boy, that would be real helpful if I remember the conversation we
Actually, you
had
know what?
5 minutes
Never mind.
ago. You take it.
Let
You
me do
take
a
it.
different thing.
Yeah,
Actually, I want to start today by doing a little story hour, but it
oh,
won't take an hour.
we love
I want to start out by
bet.
thanking the community. Okay. Last time we talked, last time we did one of these, I threw out to the community that I would like some help if anybody was familiar with Brandon Sanderson's story deck game. And it turns out that several of you were. I got emails with all of the information I needed. And for the people who, well, since I didn't tell anybody what it was, it's a really clever use of a trading card. Okay. Instead of it thinking of it as a trading card game. So for those of you who live under rocks or whatever, Brandon Sanderson is an incredibly popular science fiction and fantasy, more fantasy than science fiction author. He's fantastic. Actually, he even did a magic short story, which
A
was
couple, I
free up.
think, at this point.
He's really very, very good. He's also a really nice guy. Anyway, Brandon Sanderson wrote three short stories, carved them up, and had a bunch of original art composed, created, commissioned. That's what I'm looking for. Commissioned, and then had it carved up onto cards, and then randomized into packs. And so you can get a story deck pack. You open the pack, and then see what cards you got, assemble them in 9 pocket pages in order to build the story and to build all the art. It's designed for a convention experience where you, as the person doing this, get 2 or 3 packs, but not enough packs to actually build everything you want. And so the people participating all come together. They come together and trade cards, which is super fun. And also, there's a scavenger hunt element of it where, okay, so what did I want these for? I'm going to be doing TwitchCon in a month and a half, and so I run the tabletop area at TwitchCon. And one of the things we're going to do is give people the ability to sign up for the Brandon Sanderson story deck, and then we'll give them a little passport that tells them to go do activities throughout tabletop. So Pinfinity is going to be there, and you'll get 2 packs. You'll go over to the Pinfinity table. You'll take their virtual dice. So you're looking at a pen that's actually virtually a dice. You spin the dice, and if you roll a 20, you get something fantastic. I don't know what it is. And if you don't, you still, Penfinity folks will give you a collectible pen. Okay. And they'll stamp your book. And then when the page has all the stamps, you come back, you get another pack. And so this will be a fun way to run kind of a scavenger hunt experience. And it's something new and different to do with a trading card, although the game is the hunt. There's no like combat.
The game is
Anyway,
trading.
the game is the trading. So thank you to everybody who helped me with that, and for the folks who want to tie into what we're talking about today. Um, on Sunday of TwitchCon, Sunday after the show's over, I'll set a firm time later, but somewhere between 5 and 6 o'clock, I'll meet people in the Marriott Marquis lobby, and we'll do a little meetup. We'll do a little meetup there, and that'll be a chance for people to meet, and also to get some shiny cards, and good time had by all. So anyway, that's my thank you to the community.
You're only doing one meetup, Tim?
Well, I'm only doing one meetup.
That's
Hey, what a
slacking.
wonderful segue. However, I know some guy who is even more ambitious, and
That's me.
I
Ambition.
I feel bad that Europe is a long way. And it's particularly a long way from me because I'm on the west coast of the United States. However, it's not quite so far for Jonah.
Not quite
And
so far.
besides, you all want to meet Jonah, not me anyway. So, Jonah, what are you going to do while I read the comments?
So, I have 4 meetups coming up. They're all in October because I decided that I didn't want to do anything else in October. I will be attending both sectors in the United States, so that is Portland and Philadelphia. And then I'm going to take a flight over the ocean. I'm going to be in Essen. I need to figure out exactly when and where on Essen, but it'll likely be Friday or Saturday night.
And if you're somebody who hangs out in Germany and knows the area, sending us some tips. Specifically, send Jonah tips. I've got enough emails right now.
Yes. And then the next week after Essen, I will remain in Germany and travel down to the sectors in Munich and be hosting a meetup there as well. The meetups at...
So Essen and Munich.
Yes. The meetups at sectors are likely going to be Friday night at the venue. Having worked with Organized Play events before and Star City Games before, we have come to arrangements where I'm able to use the venue space on that Friday evening so that we have a large enough space to get everybody who wants to show up showing up.
Hey, keep talking.
Okay.
I'm typing back. I'm messaging them with the message app on my phone.
That's very exciting.
Well, I mean, first time for everything in life, right?
But yes, I will be attending those or running meetups for those 4 locations. I'm very excited to be doing these. I wish I would be able to make it out to Bilbao, but it was not perfectly reasonable given that I'm trying to do events in the United States as well, and it would have been something along the lines of fly to Europe, fly back, spend a week at home, fly to Europe again. And that would have been quite a lot.
Apparently, you have to see the Glockenspiel in Marziplatt, maybe?
So I have some time between Essen and Munich, so if folks have touristy tips. Plan was maybe go through Berlin in the middle of it, but I'm sure that Essen, Dusseldorf, and Munich have plenty to entertain me.
Like Oktoberfest?
That should be...
Okay, it's a little late.
Tailing down, yeah. That should be...
Tailing down. I don't know. I've never been to Germany. Okay, I've been to the Frankfurt airport once. That doesn't really count, right?
I wouldn't count that. I wouldn't check it off my list, but...
Okay, so for our European friends, just as a reminder, and since many of you are sleeping now, tell your other friends, come see Jonah, and also we want to give you shiny cards. So please come see Jonah. And wow, yeah, Cologne's worth seeing. There are a number of funny comments, but anyway, go ahead. Okay, so so thank you all, and Gen Con was fun. You're right, and yeah, I don't know. I'm really having fun with this game at this stage of life.
Oh, yeah.
So it's fantastic. Okay. Also, 2 other housekeeping things. You folks probably know or may know we are attempting to get some additional help, and our first priority is translations, and we have interviewed all but 2 of the people we need to interview, and then I don't know if
sending out emails to make sure that those last 2 interviews, those initial interviews, are locked in as soon as this is done, which will be in 12 to 13 hours, given how this has been. We thought that Tim was bad with tangents before. Now that he's engaging in chat directly, I think it's going to be a lot worse.
Actually, you know what? Here's good news. I tried. Good for you all. I tried, and it wouldn't let from my phone, and it wouldn't let me post without logging in and blah blah. And so I don't have time to fill all that out during the chat. So we'll just go for it. Okay. So thank you all again for helping me out with Story Deck, and come see either Jonah or I at meetups. Hell, you can if you want to go to Essen and TwitchCon, you can, but be a little ambitious. And then our next position, very quickly after we want to get translation up and running, and we very much want to have 4 people we know English, and so. And then we will we'll get to work on translating the judge tests, and then immediately after that, or possibly even simultaneously, we're going to get to work making the site a little bit prettier. Don't expect amazing, but it's kind of rough now, and we would very much like that to improve.
Adding some spit and polish on the website itself, on the lessons, creating a lot of just small little graphical improvements, maybe getting a better overlay for the stream, that sort of thing.
Yes. Okay. And then the next thing that I need to talk about, and it's just a quick in passing, we have a few kits left over from actually, it's going to be a big thing. Never mind. Let's talk about where we are with kits. Okay. So now, first, let's talk about tariffs. And
so this broadcast is the economics broadcast. We're going to be talking a lot about a lot of stuff.
Actually, that's true. By the way, my audio's okay, right?
I can hear you. They've been able to respond to you. I think we're good.
Okay, great. That sounds fantastic. And yes, actually, I do use grandma size fonts. And yes. Okay, so tariffs suck for consumers everywhere because they're a tax. And the United States' tariff situation has been in tremendous flux. After this is over, so I don't know if it's, some of you will be familiar with the organization Gamma and some probably not. Gamma is a trade group for retailers and publishers and media, I guess, as well, in tabletop gaming. Because nearly all board games are printed somewhere other than the United States, it's been a hot topic, and Gamma does an update every time there's a substantial change. The main change for us to know about today is that the Trump administration's ability to impose tariffs has been ruled illegal. I'm sorry. The main ability they have that they have used. There are other authorizations in addition that have not been used. But as of today, and it will go, it's gone from a regional court to the appeals court, and the next stop will be the United States Supreme Court. But so far we have two judge entities. One was an individual judge. One was a panel of judges that ruled 7-4 that the President of the United States does not have the ability to impose a permanent tax. We'll see what the Supreme Court says. It's on hold until the middle of October, but there is a possibility that many of the U.S. tariffs are going to go away. Which I'm mostly in favor of. So that's all a thing, and I'll ask Jonah to share the actual Gamma email about that. Does that make sense? Okay.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, so with that, the tariff situation has disrupted all of our efforts in manufacturing. And when I say our efforts, I'm not making anything where it's all everything I want is licensed, right? And so I have to go through the licensor.
Not just
In this,
everything you want, everything y'all want.
okay, that's true. Yes, actually. Um, uh, yes, uh, one of our people says, and he's already asked the Supreme Court to make an emergency ruling. We'll see what happens. It's going to be fascinating to see. And at a meetup, if you pour enough whiskey in me off to the side, I will tell you everything. I'll tell you all the details about how this impacts our world. But for our call today, the key thing is to know we shared a couple sessions ago a really cool Yoda playmat. We've talked about
Some
some
people
really
were
cool.
talking about that actually earlier today.
We have some other cool stuff coming as well based on set 5. Right now our timing is that things will be printed. The playmats will be printed about the first week of October. Yes, this is an extremely long period of time to wait. Um, yeah, and
I
I can't.
mean, we're, to put it frankly, we wanted this to go smoother and faster, possibly more than you do, because to be direct, this is how we make money, and this is how Tim pays me and Tim pays himself. But we
Which I'm
also
into.
we want to also just make sure that we're getting cool things into your hands reliably, and so far we haven't been, but we're working on that.
We're working on it. So, yeah,
And
smoother, faster. Yeah, yes.
I think it's
So,
also that we want to maintain the higher quality, and so we could go back and offer 10,000 deck boxes and nothing else, but we don't want to do that.
and I mean, I can imagine a world where I'm stuck doing that, but I really don't want to be there. So, in October, we we should have the playmats printed, and then however long it takes to move across the oceans, and specifically it's oceans plural because, and we've talked about this before, but the plan is that I will sell these in the United States, and Fanfinity will sell them in the EU, and so we'll have a EU native place to do it.
Yes,
And,
and to
and
note, that part about Fanfinity is new, at least new for y'all to hear. Um, but
and yes, please send Tim an email about you being in freight logistics. I am not. You know, Jonah and I were debating today, talking about our backgrounds and, you know, our professional backgrounds so that you can have some idea of who you're talking with. And the truth of it is, I'm not, I'm not familiar enough with the world of freight, and it sucks. It just sucks. However, hopefully we'll be able to get everything to Fanfinity in Europe correctly, and then we will, and then the freight charges will, I mean, then you won't be paying an individualized freight charge. So i'm I'm cautiously optimistic. And I'm not gonna I'm gonna do one of those apology not apology things, because I'm not gonna pretend like it was my fault that everything is delayed. But everything has been delayed, and that sucks. And so I apologize that it sucks. But I promise you, I'm at least as upset about everything as you are. So there you go.
do you want to talk about the other merch that you've been working on?
Okay, wait.
Just as a general update.
I believe that in the next week to 2 weeks, Jonah and I will be doing a special Ask Me Anything broadcast, and we will be able to reveal details. But we are very, very close to being able to announce that we're going to do a special project. And for those of you who saw the cool Luke and Vader cards, Jonah, everybody's seen the cool Luke and Vader cards, right?
Yes.
We are holding them back for a special project, because when I look at that Luke, I see Luke in a snow speeder on Hoth. And if you're imaginative or paying attention, you're probably aware that Fantasy Flight has a Hoth product coming out soon, right?
We're doing some thinking.
And so we think there's an interesting synergy.
Yes. One of the things that I like is putting together kits that have some sort of theming. You may have noticed that in the Twilight Falls being a little bit more coordinated than, yeah, these are all villainous cards or something along those lines. But having a collection feels better for me. Starkiller 07700 says shirts with a lot of punctuation. DJ Serpent says, I want a Judge shirt. We
Yeah,
don't have anything concrete to announce on that.
But soon.
Can
And
you
Battle
expand on
for
soon
Hoth.
a little bit?
Soon means this much time, not this much time. About this much time.
I wanna add a little bit more detail.
I'll bet you do.
I think it's fine. So like shirts are something that we desperately want. We've been making more progress on them. Dealing with licensing is important. Making sure that things are approved is important. Improving the judge uniform and making it so that it is easier for folks to identify judges both as a group and as individuals are things that we find really important, and we're working on finding solutions to those.
I'm so uncomfortable with all of this, and the fact that I can see myself turning red on this broadcast. Just, we know name badges, and shirts are important. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So also another important thing for me is getting rid of I guess that was what we just did, was a teaser pre-announcement announcement. But very soon we'll get it. So because people have been asking when am I going to be able to get those? And the answer is soon. And I would say soon. I don't know, about that much time. We should have an announcement in a week to 2 weeks, I think, unless something goes horribly, horribly wrong, in which case it might take a month.
Tennessee Feet Monk asks, with regards to shirt, nothing will invalidate the original shirts. Yep. They will remain Star Wars Judge shirts.
But I can't get more blanks of that shirt right now.
And so it is, we say this is a shirt that we have offered, this is unofficial shirt. A tournament organizer might say, I don't want you to wear that shirt because, they might say this is that doesn't meet our uniform requirements, or I want everybody wearing the same shirt, or
in which case they need to buy you a shirt. Sorry.
For many tournament organizers do in fact provide shirts, either for the weekend or for you to keep. And
what? For the weekend?
Yeah.
I provide you with shirts for the weekend and then I ask it back?
Star City Games used to for a very long time, and still does at some events, provide polos that they give to you for the weekend, and then they take it back and somebody spends their week doing laundry.
Wow. Sometimes when I want to change this topic and take my foot out of my mouth, I try to talk about the weather, and it's a beautiful day in Portland, Oregon. Okay. So the last thing is that I have a small number, which is technically a few, which is less than this. It's more like that. I have a few kits left that in the United States. We're going to put up tomorrow an application form for people to buy them. We're going to go by judge level. So L2s, sorry, we don't have threes yet. L2s get first shot. You only get one kit, you get one of each kit. And we'll burn through the very small amount of inventory we have. But we'll throw that up tomorrow for people, so that way I don't have to store anything, because I want them to be in your hands, not mine. And then let's see. And then, like I said, special cool kit coming soon, I think, which we'll be able to announce. And then October plus travel time. So maybe as early as November, maybe, maybe December, depending on how long it takes. I really want to sync things up so Europe and the United States get them at the same period of time. And today I can't tell you whether or not I'm going to be able to split them up and then ship the two shipments where they need to go, or God forbid one shipment has to come to the United States, get divvied up, and then reshipped to Europe. That would, yeah. Anyway, so that's all the business stuff. Can we move on from this? Because
Yeah.
I think we've lost all of our audience. We probably put them to sleep.
I do you want to start talking about compensation?
Yeah, let's talk about compensation. That is a rich topic we should talk about today. Okay.
Yeah. So
And
as we dive in, if folks have questions, drop them in the chat. I'll interrupt Tim as we get to them. But
sure, although I'm reading them too.
this is
Wait, Tide Pods, really? So actually, tell me this. Did anybody ever actually eat a Tide Pod, or was that just like...
I think that was a lot of some states that are known for such behaviors.
Florida? You're talking about Florida?
I didn't say that, but yes. Tennessee Feet Monk asks, when will L2 matter for vents? L1 not required for floor judge at this point. So the requirements need to be coordinated across multiple branches within FFG. It's not, I don't get to just say this is how it is happening and that is instantly communicated to 5,000 stores across the globe. I wish it was. That'd be great. But we also need to make
sure.
But
we want that.
We do
want that.
But we also need to make sure.
Hold on. No ifs, ands, or buts. This is something we want so badly. Go ahead, John.
Yes. But level requirements, we need to make sure that the program is robust enough to actually make that requirement reasonable. My expectation is that level 2 will be required for Secrets of Power planetary qualifiers. But that's not a guarantee. It wasn't an option for Legends of the Force planetary qualifiers because while the exam was, I believe, technically available before the first Legends of the Force PQs, it was like 2 days before the first one, and that is not a reasonable expectation for tournament organizers. So my expectation for Secrets of Power is L2 will be required for head judge, L1 for floor judge. Given that there are 50 roughly level 2s globally, requiring L2 for both roles would mean that planetary qualifiers simply do not happen for this wave. We're going to be continuing to take things slowly. We're going to be increasing the level requirements for events as is reasonable. We're not just going to say, okay, events now require level 3 head judge, level 2 floor judge, and if you don't have those, you don't get an event, because no event gets staff because those judges don't exist, and then the judge program ceases to exist because we're making unreasonable demands.
We collapse into a black hole and all die.
We want the program to continue to grow. We want these requirements to be in place because it improves the quality of events for players. But putting those requirements in place too early is more damaging than not having them.
And you know what? Mobius won. Oh wait, no, it was Ken Jabber first. It's funny because some regions have next to no events, so an L2 is almost unattainable. That is absolutely a problem. Every new judge program has a chicken or egg problem, where without judges, how are you going to have events? Without events, how are you going to have judges? And there are certain areas that are just a higher priority. No offense to anyone in North Dakota, but, I like North Dakota. I probably like Montana more, but I like North Dakota too. I like them, but it's just not the population center, right? And this game is growing. It is doing well, and we saw that from Galactic Champs, but it's going to take some time. And I'm going to go off on another quick tangent. Speaking of events and when you're working events, if you encounter problems at the event, please let Jonah and I know about it. Mostly Jonah, and particularly we want to know if there are problems that are so significant, like, a round starts 5 minutes late, I don't care, right? But major logistical problems, major staffing problems, uh, major, actually anything that you think of as a major issue, major compensation issues, okay?
Yeah.
Which mostly, I mean, we can't get involved in the compensation area between staff and TOs, right? But if you're not getting the judge foils, um, if no staff person at the event is getting the judge foils, we'd probably like to know about that. If there's things that are red flags about the issue about an event, really bad player experiences of one kind or another, you should pass those on to Jonah, and then Jonah and I can be advocates for whatever the appropriate outcome is.
So yeah, let us know. Keep in mind that Tim and I probably will not be able to take direct action. It is more of us triaging and pointing you in the direction of somebody who can more accurately or effectively address the situation. If it is a concern about like broad spectrum judge education, if it's something like, hey, this seems to be an area where judges are struggling, that's something I can do. But if it is an issue with like tournament organizer or judge behavior, that is not something that we police.
But we can pass that information on if it's relevant.
Yes.
And there's a comment, hey, Reddit will do a fine job of doing that. Jonah, do you actually read Reddit?
I do, but
I don't.
I don't see significant numbers of, like, I just see what's on my front page from Star Wars, and it's usually people talking about metadecks, not people talking about individual events.
It turns out we're super busy, and so sending Jonah a link to Reddit is probably okay, but please help us. How this should work is, in a perfect world, you guys are out there talking to players, talking to retailers, learning, growing, passing data on, and then pass it on to us, and then we can be advocates for whatever kind of change needs to happen.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Tuna Coberno says, do you know what's going to be the policy on promo distribution for sectors and regionals? Nope, that's something handled by the tournament organizers and FFG organized play.
However, if it's something that's blatantly unfair, we'd probably like to know what happened. But
I'll be at several of those events.
Yes. Okay. So having said all that, let's talk about compensation.
Yeah, you should get compensated. What does that mean?
Or you shouldn't. Or you shouldn't, right? It depends. Okay. And let's start out with a couple legal disclosures just to cover our asses, shall we? Can I say ass? I guess I can say ass because I just did. Let's start out.
I do know that some folks listen with their families, but
yes, well, with your donkeys. Okay, so here's the deal. We're not lawyers. No. I don't pretend to be a lawyer, and also we're not. And the United States is a fantastically complicated country in terms of how our legal system works, because there is both federal law about employment and state law. Okay. Literally nobody is an expert on all the states and federal law. Okay. And every time I go talk to my employment attorneys, they tell me, do you want to talk to the federal person or your state person? And when I ask any of them, well, what should I do about across the United States? They say, oh, you get to pay to talk to 50 different attorneys. Yeah, it's cool. And Canada has multiple provinces. You get the point. And all of Europe, right? And to whatever degree folks are listening in Latin America. We are not addressing everything. What we're doing is we're going to talk about what is right and wrong and a little bit of general law in the United States, but I'm not your attorney. Okay.
And a
Jonah's
little
not
bit
either.
of reasonable expectation as well.
Yes. Oh, and somebody pointed out, if you're really lucky, municipal, county, city codes to worry about as well. Absolutely. Although, as a practical matter, very frequently they don't actually have enforcement mechanisms, but sometimes they do. So there you go. Okay. The first rule is if you work, you should get paid. No, more than that. What's a better rule? Don't work if you're not going to get paid. And never work without working out what your compensation is going to be in advance. Because if you do that, there's all kinds of room for upset and hard feelings, right?
Yep.
So know what you're being compensated with.
An asterisk, because we're going to throw in some asterisks. If it's somebody
Because
that you've
that's what
worked
today's
with
conversation.
before, if it's your local game store and you've worked for them a dozen times and you are generally reasonably compensated for doing weekly plays and pre-releases, and then they're like, hey, can you take care of this planetary qualifier for us? Strongly encourage you to work out that compensation in advance. But I have definitely worked for stores where they're like, hey, can you come in and do this event? I do the event, and then when I'm walking out, I'm like, oh, right, can you throw something my way? Can you pay me now? And they're like, oh, yeah, here's something reasonable. Because we
And that
have
is
a healthy and positive relationship.
not a reasonable way to proceed.
No.
Turns out, Jonah, in order to hire you, first we talked about what the job was going to be, and then we talked about compensation, and then we got you started. And I'm not going to say I've never reversed this order with me being the employer, and I'm not going to say that I've never done this wrong when I was the person performing the services too. So but in a theoretical world, get paid first. Figure out what your payment is first. And as a personal, Jonah doesn't get paid well, but we occasionally give him a pack of cards to keep him motivated, but that's about it. So the first thing you should remember is when you work, you should get paid. And in general, as a judge, I would like to encourage you to avoid schemes where you're saying things where you're sharing the risk as with the tournament organizer. I get paid $1 per person in the event. I get paid $2 per person or $5 per person, and goes into a judge pool that's divvied up by all the judges. Those are really problematic because it's not your job as a judge. In general, there should be a tie between compensation and there should be a tie between what work you do and how you're compensated, right? And so if you're being paid more when more people show up, but you're not driving that attendance, then when less people show up and you get paid less, that's a feel bad.
This is also so when I judge, I generally I seek out a flat rate for my day's work instead of something hourly, because if I have, say, a 9-player event, I'm spending my entire day there. I am working fewer hours, but because of their advertising and the number of players who showed up, which are things that I can't control, I end up working 4 hours less and I get less on the day.
Now, the exception to this would be if for some reason you've accepted the job of hyping the event in addition to being the judge. But if you're doing that, you are acting in a tournament organizer role. Now, I'm awesome with blurring these roles.
Oh, yeah.
The idea that there's this magical force field that separates judges from TOs, and it's all the same group of people. It really is. The majority of TOs have judged at least some in the past. It's nuts to think of these as separate groups of people. And, since most events happen at stores, the event staff there usually do multiple roles and multiple games. So blah. But if you're going to be a judge, get paid for what you do, and get paid in advance. Now, and remember, there's such a thing as minimum wage too, right?
So,
So,
with regards to the talking about advertising, something that I frequently see happening is judges doing advertising for free, because they get hired to judge the event, and then they're like, well, I want to make sure that this goes well for the store because you care about the community, and so they are out there on socials, in Discord, pushing the event. If you're going to do that extra work outside of the event, make sure that you're compensated for it.
or if you want to do it for your own reasons,
Yeah.
whatever. You know what? You are if if I ask Jonah to do a function and I'm his boss, that ask is actually a please